Kayla. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you watched some of my videos before. Today we are going to be diving into the books that I plan on reading in the month of August. I would say this is a TBR. I think I can probably stick to this pretty well, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to everything on this list. It's super ambitious, per usual, and a lot of big guys are on this list too. So that's going to be, I don't know. I wrote out a plan of attack, okay, a battle strategy, if you will. And we're going to see if we can't conquer this beast of a list I've compiled. I always have books on hold at my library. I will put them on hold at the end of July or whatever the previous month is, in anticipation of what I want to read in the following month. And usually the library estimated time of when I will get the book works against me. Like, the books that I think are going to take a long time will show up quickly. The books I need to get quickly will show up later than I think, and it's always a thing. I literally can't win against that system, and I forever am being just crushed by the number of notifications I have in my email alerting me to books that I have available. So that's something that we're going to be talking about. The first book that I plan on getting to this month for sure, because I think it's going to be my book club book this month, is Misery by Stephen King. I don't know a whole lot about this. I've actually never seen the movie, and I know it's about a woman, like a nurse essentially, that holds somebody captive. I don't know. I don't know all of it. Don't tell me. I want to go into it without really a whole lot of knowledge. I read The Shining this past month. I know I haven't posted my July wrap up yet, but I will be doing that soon. And I really liked his writing, and I think I'm really going to like Misery. The next book I have from the library is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This is another like horror style book. I'm kind of interested and intrigued to try out a few more of these, especially ones that have more like, maybe not fantasy, but like supernatural like elements, things that can't be explained by science or logic or just anything like that. I think I like horror and thrillers that have an element of fantasy or sci-fi to it. And this book seems like it's going to fit that bill. This is about 4 Native American boys who go through some sort of tragedy, and then it says that there's some sort of entity that they can't escape. I don't know. I've seen mixed reviews about this, but the ones that praise it so highly. So I'm pretty excited to try it out. It's also pretty short, so I know I'll be able to get through this one this month. I also have some things that are going to be rolling over from the month of July. The first one being the Furies of Cauldron. I think I have 6 hours left of this, of 20 hours. So I do plan on finishing this. Today's the 31st, so I might actually finish this tomorrow or the next day. It'll be pretty early in the month. And I am going to finish it, but I'm not digging it a whole lot right now. It's like okay. I'll talk more about it in my wrap up, but I am planning on finishing that. If I didn't say this, it's by Jim Butcher. It's the first book in the Codex Alera. I'm also going to be continuing with the Poppy War. I started trying to read this with my husband, or listen to it with my husband, and I didn't think he was going to be able to commit to 20 hours of audio with me, but he gave it his best, okay? I think if the chapters weren't quite so long, a lot of them were like an hour, which is a lot of time for him to sit and listen to something. It's hard sometimes when I am reading so often and he doesn't read, and he wants to read, but just physically he has narcolepsy, it physically makes him fall asleep. Like, he just can't stay awake and pay attention to reading or even just sitting and listening. But then he also can't do something active and listen. It's a whole thing. We are always attempting to do this together, and it's hard. But either way, he couldn't get through it, and I'm gonna finish it on my own this month. I think we listened to like 3 hours of it, so I might even, I don't know if I'll start over, but I'm definitely gonna go back a little bit and maybe breeze through the beginning. But the Poppy War is really interesting. It's a military style fantasy. There is a school. Nobody told me there was a school in this. Okay, none of y'all mentioned it, and I love schools in fantasy, so I am liking it a lot. But I was waiting on him to read with me, and obviously that is not going to happen. So I'm going to read it this month for sure. I've also started The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This is the book club book for August in Jessie May's book club. I'll link that in the description box below. As soon as I saw that, I checked my library to see if it was available. It was immediately available, and I should have waited, yet I could not contain myself because that is who I am. I was like, maybe you should pick something else up and maybe you should finish something else instead of starting a new book. And yet I did not listen and I started it anyway, and I'm about 3 hours into it. And this book is super interesting. Essentially, the city of New York is dying, and to save it, the boroughs select avatars to defend it. So like there's 5 different people representing the 5 different boroughs of New York that are going to defend it from some sort of evil. It's freaking interesting, and Robin Miles is the narrator that narrates, I believe, all of N.K. Jemisin's books, and she is so good. I've been listening to Obelisk, which is also going to be carrying over, which is the second book in the Broken Earth trilogy, also narrated by Robin Miles, also by N.K. Jemisin. She's becoming an obsession right now, and I'm not mad about it. It's so good. I'm also trying to finish up some sequels this month, and so Obelisk, we're going to go right into that, is another book that I'm going to try to finish this month. It's not super long. It is more emotional, and it's a harder read than some other books that I'm reading. The writing isn't difficult per se, it's just intricate, I feel like. There's a lot of terminology and stuff that's just very different from something else you would read, and I really do like it. I'm going to finish it for sure this month. You need to know that I will finish this month. I swear to God, I'm gonna finish books this month that are in series I've started, because I am notorious for starting a series, really loving the book, and then being like, I need to read all these series. Instead of just finishing a series, I start a bunch of first books and never finish series, and I need to stop doing that. So we're gonna attempt some series this month. So I also plan on reading The Great Hunt. This is the second book in the Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. I had plans, gosh, January 2020 Kayla had big lofty goals, and July 2020 Kayla did not follow through. She is disappointed in her past self. I wanted to finish Wheel of Time this year. Yeah, finish, okay? I read one book. And I was supposed to read it in January. I didn't read it until like March. And then I haven't picked up another of the books since. And I had planned out this whole like Wheel of First Time. I'm gonna do it, okay? Message me. Make sure I'm reading it, okay? I'm planning on reading it. I'm gonna do it. I just have to get in the mindset. Those books, I'm reading it the whole thing this month. It's not going to be a carryover. And I know it's long, but I liked The Wheel of Time. It wasn't my favorite thing I've ever read, but I liked it. I want to know what happens in the story. I want to feel that feeling of pride for completing like such a hefty series, like such a well-known fantasy book. I swear to God, Lou, if you kick over this mic stand, my dog is rolling around down here by it's not a mic stand, it's a tripod, but he's trying to mess with everything. Stop flopping around, dude. I'm gonna finish The Great Hunt this month. It is like pretty high up on my list of priorities. I really want to get deeper into the Wheel of Time, and I just need to see, okay? I'm so curious about it, and I obviously want to read the books that Brando wrote, which is why I started reading the series in the first place. So anyway, speaking of Brando, I'm going to finish my reread of the Mistborn trilogy. I read Mistborn a couple months ago, and I planned on picking up Well of Ascension afterward, but y'all know how that goes. I just didn't. So I've actually already started this one too, and I got up pretty early this morning and started it. And I love the Well of Ascension. I think it is very different from the other 2 books, but I also think it makes sense. I'm going to do a review of the whole trilogy once I finish it, because I just feel like I just want to, you know? I don't have enough Brandon Sanderson content apparently on this channel, so I am going to do that once I'm finished with it. But it's much more political than the first and the third book, honestly, because there's just, you know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but just know that if you want the same type of fast-paced fantasy that the Final Empire gives you, The Well of Ascension does not provide that initially. It is good. There's some great moments. The Sanderlanche, you know, the standard end of his books, it's still very good. And I do think there's really great moments in it, but it is just a different feeling from the first book. So if you start it, know that going into it. Okay, so the next big book on my list is Sort of Kaijen. And this is a Booktube sweetheart. Everybody loves this book. Everybody raves about this book. and I've got to know what the hype is about, okay? I have been persuaded, and so it is on my list. I'm gonna get to it. Do I know what it's about? Nope. I don't. It's probably a war. I'm pretty sure some sort of war and some sort of mother, and that's it. And it's a standalone, which, thank you. I could use a standalone in my life. And I believe the final book I'm going to read is Assassin's Apprentice. Is the first book, and I believe it's the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. This is going to be a buddy read with people from Michael Nip's Patreon group, Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative, and I'm not sure who else is planning on reading it yet. I haven't really looked super into it because I just found out about it this morning and then altered everything in my life so that I could be a part of yet another buddy read. So that one is going to be on my list. I don't know if I'll listen to it or physically read it. I gotta see what the heck my library has for that, but I honestly don't think it'll be that hard to find like a cheap mass market paperback at the thrift store. So, and then the book that got bumped for Assassin's Apprentice, and Leslie, I'm so sorry, but it was Malice by John Gwynne, the first book in the Faithful and the Fallen series. That one got bumped off by August TBR for Assassin's Apprentice. And if by some crazy divine intervention happens and I'm able to literally read all of this, then maybe I'll start it. Likelihood? Not much, but you never know. I did plan all this stuff out. I figured out how many pages I have to read a day if I wanted to finish a book in a week, how much I have to listen to. Like, is it feasible? Maybe. Probably not, considering I have other hobbies and things that I like to do, and the fact that I didn't even include Words of Radiance in this video, which is what, 500, we need to read 500-600 pages of that by the end of the month for Stormalong 2020. The second book in the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. You guys, who am I? What am I doing with my life? Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. I know a lot of people make these TBRs and they make them really ambitious, but to me, I'm a pretty competitive person. Like, I really like competition. And so setting goals for myself is sort of a big deal for me because I like to achieve them. Like, I did really well in my July TBR / July wrap up, and it's such a great feeling of accomplishment. I'm also planning on participating in Tome Topple, which is the last 3 weeks of August. This is a readathon hosted by Thoughts on Tomes. It's essentially just a bunch of prompts that help you to read books over 500 pages, and I have lots of them on my list, and so that's basically what I'm going to be doing with a lot of these. So it kind of coincides with that. I haven't assigned books to prompts yet. I think there's 8 prompts. Maybe it's 6 or 8, and you can do 2 to 1 book, like 2 prompts to 1 book. That's the ratio essentially, so I plan on using these for that. So we'll see how that goes, but either way, that's it. Those are my goals. Tell me what you're reading. Tell me if you've read some of these. How should I prioritize? What should I start first? That's a silly question. I've already started like 6 of these. Either way, I'm gonna get out of here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you would be so kind. Hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted to when I upload, and stay tuned because there'll be more to come.